How much energy are you wasting every day explaining your decisions to people who don't even care? Good morning, everyone. We choose a quieter path, and we do it on purpose. You wake up, and the world shouts. News and feeds pull at your eyes. Friends post the brightest slices of their lives. Your thumbs move before your mind is ready. Your energy leaks before breakfast. Today, we take that energy back. We practice a strength that does not need to shout. We learn to focus on ourselves, to build in silence, and to let results speak when they are ready. Here is the plan in plain words. We will turn down the outside noise. We will calm the inside voice. We will move with small, clear actions every day. No drama, no extra talk, just honest work. If you have felt tired, you are not alone. Many adults feel this. Pressure at work. Phones at night. You do not need a perfect life to begin. You only need one calm breath and one simple move. What does silence look like? A morning without the phone. One important task before messages. 3 lines in a tiny notebook. What I will do. What I will not do. Why it matters. A short walk at lunch, a glass of water, and a gentle boundary with people who pull you off your path. We will keep the language simple. We will keep the steps small. We will use home and work scenes that feel familiar. School drop-off, a grocery run. You will hear a story, see a small example, and then get a 2-minute action you can do now. Quiet is a skill. It grows with practice. When I ask for a try now pause, stop and breathe with me. Count a slow 3 in. Count a slow 3 out. Notice the change in your chest and your face. That small change is the start of control. By the end of this session, you will have 3 wins. A calmer mind, a tiny daily plan you can keep, and a steadier way to respond when life gets loud. Listen with a notebook and some water. Set your phone to do not disturb. If a sentence hits home, repeat it out loud. Here is a preview of what is ahead. Our roadmap will have 3 parts. First, the foundation. We will explore the trap of noise and the pull of approval, and find the strength of silence. Second, the core tools. We will learn the inner dialogue, action without chasing, protecting your energy, and building the engine of progress we call discipline. Third, the reward. We will master the art of waiting, understand the hidden phase where roots grow, build the internal reward we call true confidence, and reach the moment when results speak for you. You do not need permission. You only need the next honest step. Because this is serious, let me pause. Before the day rushes in, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, only if you truly enjoy what I am doing here. And in the comments, write your location, your time zone, and the time right now, this morning. Now open the curtains and let the light in, pour a glass of water, maybe brew a coffee or tea, set your phone to do not disturb, and take one deep breath. Let's begin our journey this morning. Chapter 1. The Trap of Noise and the Pull of Approval. Have you ever noticed that the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest? It's a strange paradox, but one that holds true in meeting rooms, at family dinners, and across the endless scroll of social media. We live in a world that shouts. We are surrounded by noise, a constant, frantic energy of people always talking, always proving something, always chasing validation. We have been conditioned to believe that volume equals strength, that being seen means being important, and that presence is measured by the space our words fill. This chapter is about the trap this noise creates. It is about the invisible addiction that governs the lives of so many, perhaps even your own, without you ever realizing it. It is the silent, draining addiction to approval. Validation is a drug. It's one of the greatest traps in life, and it keeps people stuck, small, and afraid. Like any powerful addiction, it doesn't begin all at once. It starts small. The simple desire to be accepted, the need to be acknowledged, the craving for someone to say, "You're doing great." It feels good. It feels like connection. But before you know it, you begin living your entire life based on the reactions of others. You dress a certain way for approval. You speak a certain way to fit in. You find yourself chasing things that don't even matter to you, simply because they look successful in the eyes of others. The moment you begin to seek approval, you are giving others power over you. You are letting them decide what is right for you. You are letting them define what is acceptable and what is worthy. When you do that, you stop being in control of your own destiny. You become, in essence, a prisoner to other people's opinions. And in that process, bit by bit, you lose yourself. How does this addiction manifest in our daily lives? It appears as a constant, severe energy leak. Think about it. How much energy do we waste explaining ourselves to people who don't even care? How many times have you found yourself justifying your decisions, defending your dreams, or waiting for someone else to give you permission to go after what you want? We feel this relentless urge to explain, to defend, or to prove our worth. Here is the hard truth. Every second you spend trying to prove yourself to others is a second you are stealing from your own progress. This need to explain is rooted in the belief that our worth is up for a public vote. We overshare. We announce our plans too soon, inviting unnecessary energy into our lives. We expose our plans before they are ready, giving others the chance to interfere, to discourage, or to make us second-guess ourselves. We forget a critical lesson. Not everyone is rooting for you. Not everyone deserves access to your vision. Some people only want to hear your plans so they can plant doubt in your mind. Others simply don't want you to succeed because your growth reminds them of everything they haven't done. The second symptom of this addiction is distraction, often fueled by comparison. Most people don't get what they want in life simply because they are too distracted. They let the noise of the world get in the way of their own progress. We spend hours scrolling through social media, comparing our journey to someone else's highlight reel. We watch other people live their lives instead of building our own. This constant comparison creates an energy of lack, a feeling that we are behind. We see others posting their brightest slices of life, and it makes us question our own. This leads to the third and most paralyzing symptom, the fear of judgment. This is perhaps the biggest distraction of all. It's crazy how much energy we waste worrying about what others think. We hesitate to make bold moves because we are afraid of judgment. We hold back from pursuing our goals because we don't want to be criticized. We worry about what our friends, our family, or even strangers will think if we take a different path. We shrink ourselves to fit into a version of life that feels safe, but isn't fulfilling. But here is the truth that will set you free. People are going to judge you no matter what you do. They will judge you for succeeding, and they will judge you for failing. They will judge you for trying, and they will judge you for staying still. Since judgment is a constant, it is the one variable you should immediately discard from your equation for happiness. So why not do what makes you happy? Why not focus on building the life you actually want, instead of living in fear of what others might say? When we live inside this trap, addicted to validation, leaking energy through explanations, distracted by comparison, and paralyzed by judgment, the result is inevitable. At the end of the day, we are left feeling drained, frustrated, and stuck in the same place. We wonder why we feel stuck. We wonder why our lives aren't changing. It's because we are too busy paying attention to things that don't matter. We have given our focus, our energy, and our power away to the noise. This is the trap. The following chapters are how we get out. Chapter 2. The Strength of Silence. In the last chapter, we confronted the trap of noise, the draining addiction to approval, and the exhausting habit of over-explaining. We identified the enemy. Now we begin our training. We do this by fundamentally redefining our relationship with silence. We must first unlearn a lifetime of false conditioning. Our world operates on a flawed assumption. That noise equals strength. We believe the loudest person in the room is the winner. We mistake the person who talks over others in a meeting for a leader. We see the frantic energy of those always talking, always proving something, always chasing validation as confidence. This chapter is about the great reversal. It's the truth that the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. This loud strength is not power. It is a performance. It is the insecure ego screaming for validation, terrified of being overlooked. It is the trap from Chapter 1 in its final desperate form. True strength, true power, does not need to perform. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need to fill the air with chatter to prove its existence. Real power simply exists, unshaken, undeniable. So if silence isn't weakness, what is it? First, silence is awareness. It is not the absence of words, but the presence of awareness. This is the strategic power of silence. The moment you stop talking, you begin to truly listen, and you listen not just to the words being spoken, but to what isn't being said. You start to notice the energy in the room. You see the hesitation before an answer. You hear the subtle changes in tone that reveal insincerity. You perceive the hidden motives behind people's actions. Think of a work scene promised in our introduction. You are in a difficult negotiation. The other side has just made an unreasonable demand, and all eyes are on you. Your instinct, trained by a noisy world, is to react immediately. To defend your position, to argue, to fill the uncomfortable space with explanations. Instead, you do nothing. You sit back. You hold your gaze. You simply stay silent. In this moment, your silence becomes a weapon. It makes them uncomfortable. They fear the silence. They feel invisible. To fill the void you are holding, they begin to talk more. They start to justify their own position. They get nervous, and in doing so, they reveal everything. They expose their true priorities, their hidden motives, and the weaknesses in their own argument. You didn't have to fight. You just had to be still and let them reveal exactly who they are. This is the chess game. The best players sit in silence, reading the board. They don't announce their strategy. It is the ones who talk too much, who expose their plans before they even make a move. Second, silence is action. This is the most crucial counter-argument to our flawed conditioning. We mistake silence for passivity, but it is the most intense and focused form of activity. It is the difference between talking about what you are going to do and actually doing it. The world is full of people talking a big game, but never following through. Why? Because talking about your goals feels good. Studies have shown that when you announce your goals publicly, you get a hit of dopamine. This is the same chemical that's released when you actually achieve something. It tricks your brain into feeling like you've already accomplished something. You get the reward before you do the work. This false sense of progress is the single greatest enemy of real progress. The builder, the creator, the true achiever understands this. They know that real success happens in the quiet moments when no one is watching. Success is built in silence. It is built in the early mornings when no one else is awake. It is built in the daily habits that seem insignificant. This is the home scene from our intro. It's 5 a.m., the house is dark, the world is asleep. Your phone is on Do Not Disturb. This is the sacred silence. This is where you actually build. You are not posting about the grind. You are doing the grind. You are writing the pages, studying the code, practicing the skill, or making the plan. You are showing up for yourself when no one's watching. This is the work. It doesn't require noise. You don't need an audience. You need consistency. Third, silence is protection. It is a fortress for your mind and your energy. As we established in Chapter 1, your energy is finite, and the world is trying to steal it. Every time you share your fragile, newborn goals with the wrong people, you open yourself up to negativity, doubt, and criticism. Imagine you are at a grocery run and bump into an old acquaintance. They ask what's new. You feel a spark of excitement and share your new idea, a business you want to start, a book you want to write. Their first reaction isn't support, it's doubt. Are you sure that's a good idea? Isn't that really risky? My cousin's friend tried that and failed. These aren't helpful insights. They are seeds of doubt. Their opinions can plant seeds of doubt in your mind and poison your idea before it even has a chance to grow. Silence protects your goals. You learn to stay quiet. You learn to smile and say, I'm working on a few things. You don't waste energy explaining yourself. You stay in control. You protect your precious energy and focus it on building, not defending. Finally, silence is the ultimate strength. This is the deepest, most spiritual level of silence. It is not just strategic, productive, or defensive. It is the silence of faith. It is what you do when you are misunderstood, attacked, or provoked. The human instinct is to react. The ego wants to defend. But the most powerful thing you can do is nothing but focus on God, humble ourselves before Him, and stay silent in trust. This sacred silence is not weakness. It is wisdom and warfare. It is a profound declaration that says, God, I trust you more than I trust my emotions. I believe in your justice more than I believe in my defense. The ultimate example of this power was modeled by Jesus. When he stood before his accusers, Jesus remained silent. He was not weak. He was strong enough to let the truth speak for itself. He had the power of heaven at his disposal, but he chose the discipline of silence. He knew his identity was not up for a vote. This is the goal. To become so secure in your purpose, so focused on your work, and so rooted in your faith that you no longer feel the urge to prove anything. You are too busy becoming. You are too busy building. The 24-hour Justify Nothing experiment. Here is your 2-minute action you can do now, as promised in the introduction. For the next 24 hours, I challenge you to practice the micro-silence of not justifying. Your only goal is to stop explaining or justifying your small, personal, harmless choices. When someone at work asks why you aren't drinking coffee this morning, don't give a 5-minute speech about caffeine and sleep patterns. Just smile and say, "I'm good with water today, thank you." When a family member asks why you are eating that for lunch, don't defend your dietary choices. Just say, "It's what I felt like." If someone questions why you're taking a short walk at lunch instead of working at your desk, don't justify your need for a break. Just say, "I'll be back in 10. Notice the urge to explain. Notice the discomfort. And then, notice the space and energy you get back when you gently, politely refuse to take the bait. This is the first small step to reclaiming your power. Chapter 3. The Inner Dialogue. Silencing the Noise Within. In the last chapter, we redefined silence. We transformed it from an act of weakness into a position of strategic power. We learned that by staying silent, we gain awareness, we protect our energy, and we allow our actions to build momentum. But this external silence, this holding your tongue, is only half of the battle. It's the what. This chapter is about the how. It's about the prerequisite for all true strength. If you have ever tried to stay quiet when you were provoked, you know the real battle isn't with the person in front of you. The real battle is the noise in your own soul. You may have succeeded in shutting your lips, but you failed to surrender your heart. If you are silent on the outside, but screaming on the inside, you have not found peace. You have only found suppression. Before you can silence the world, you must first silence your own noise. That's where it starts. Not with what's around you, but with what's within you. Many of us believe the problem is the chaos outside, the noise of opinions, the criticism, the misunderstanding. But the deeper you go, the more you realize the real battle is the internal one. This inner noise is not a single voice. It is a clutter. It is the clutter of pride, the hum of insecurity, the whispers of fear and old wounds. If we do not first silence that, we will never truly hear our own purpose. We will never find rest. Let's diagnose this internal noise, this clutter, so we can begin to clean house. First, we must confront the clutter of pride. Pride is the loudest voice in the room, and it lives inside your head. Pride is the ego that wants to win. It is the voice that wants to speak. It's the part of you that felt attacked in that meeting from Chapter 2 and screamed for you to defend yourself. Pride is terrified of looking weak or foolish. It is the root of the need for validation that we discussed in Chapter 1. It constantly seeks applause. It needs to prove itself. It is the voice that urges you to explain yourself, to justify your decisions, and to chase the approval of people who don't matter. When you feel the urge to clap back at an insult, that is the noise of pride. Second, we must confront the hum of insecurity and whispers of fear. If pride is the voice of ego, fear is the voice of lack. It is the fear of losing, the fear of missing out, the fear of not being enough. This fear is the engine that drives our most frantic, self-sabotaging behaviors. This chasing is rooted in fear. When you desperately text someone who is ignoring you, you are not acting out of love. You are acting out of the fear of being abandoned. When you accept a job you hate, you are acting out of the fear of missing an opportunity. This fear manifests as desperation, and desperation repels what you desire. It's the voice that whispers, "You are not enough. You are not worthy." It is the true source of our neediness. Third, we must confront the whispers of old wounds. This is the noise of the past. It's the echo of old criticism, rejection, or failure. This voice creates a negative filter for your entire life. It's the reason why, when you do receive validation, you can't even accept it. You've trained yourself to believe the noise of your old wounds over the truth of your present reality. This internal noise is not passive. It actively shapes your world. What you focus on expands. Your energy is one of the most powerful forces you have, and your life is a reflection of what you give your attention to. This isn't just motivational talk. This is how our brains are wired. Your brain has a built-in filtering system. It is designed to find more of whatever you focus on. It acts as a filter, bringing into your awareness the things that align with your dominant thoughts. If your dominant thoughts are, "I am not enough," or "they are going to judge me," your brain will diligently scan your environment and find evidence to prove you right. You will see obstacles, not opportunities. You will hear criticism in neutral comments. You are either feeding your future or feeding your fears. The internal noise is a 24/7 buffet for your fears. So how do we stop this? How do we clean this internal house? The answer is not to fight the noise. You cannot win an argument with your own pride or fear. The answer is to surrender it. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. It is the essence of humility. Pride wants to speak. Ego wants to win. But humility bows low. The process of cleaning this internal house begins with a brave invitation. It requires you to be willing to ask yourself the hard questions. It is an act of radical self-reflection. It is asking for a light to shine on the corners we'd rather keep hidden. It is asking to judge the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. We must examine ourselves, test ourselves. The purpose of this audit is not so we can condemn ourselves, but so we can realign. We are stripping away the internal noise to find the quiet place where our hearts beat in rhythm with our true purpose. This process isn't about perfection. It's about posture. It is the daily, moment-by-moment posture of surrender. It's the ability to pause when you feel that internal noise rising and to say, "I do not want to speak from pain. I do not want to move from pride. I want to respond from my spirit, not my raw emotion." When you do this, transformation begins. It happens when you stop trying to correct everyone else and instead let yourself be corrected. It happens when you stop trying to silence others and instead let yourself be quieted. This is where true humility is born. This is when you can finally walk into the sacred silence, rooted in your deepest purpose. This is the path to true freedom. Because the quieter your soul, the clearer the answers become. The three-question internal audit. As promised in our introduction, here is your 2-minute action. Sometime today, perhaps during that short walk at lunch or before you go to sleep, find a quiet moment. Take out that tiny notebook. Instead of justifying your actions to others, this time you will investigate your motives. Write down these 3 questions. 1. What am I afraid of right now? This question exposes your fear and insecurity. 2. What does my ego want right now? This question exposes your pride. 3. What old wound is this situation touching? This question exposes your past. You do not need to solve them. Do not judge what comes up. The goal is not to find an answer. The goal is simply to shine the light. This is the first step in cleaning house. Chapter 4. Action in stillness. Stop explaining and stop chasing. Now that we have done the internal work from Chapter 3, once we have cleaned house and quieted the internal chaos of pride and fear, our silence is no longer passive. It becomes the foundation for proactive change. That internal stillness completely transforms how we behave in the external world. This transformation is best seen in 2 core behaviors: We stop doing two things that we have been doing our entire lives. We stop explaining, and we stop chasing. Let's talk about stopping explanations first. We touched on this in Chapter 1, but now we understand why we do it. We explain ourselves because our internal noise, our insecurity, tells us we need permission from others to exist. We justify our decisions because we are seeking external validation. As we saw, you are wasting a massive amount of energy every day trying to justify yourself to people who do not even care. Every second you spend trying to prove yourself is a second you are stealing from your own progress. When you have done the work of Chapter 3, you no longer need that validation. You have given that approval to yourself. Your internal quiet disarms your critics. It forces them to confront your actions instead of your words. Let's return to that work meeting scenario. This time, you have mastered your inner dialogue. You present your idea clearly and calmly. The skeptical colleague, as always, makes a comment. But this time, you do not react. You do not leap to your own defense. You do not feel the adrenaline rush. Instead, you stay silent. You look at them, perhaps nod in understanding, and you hold the space. You have said what needed to be said. The ball is now in their court. This is an immediate power shift. Your silence makes others uncomfortable. They were expecting an argument, a fight. When you do not engage, they are forced to reveal themselves. They might start to fill the void themselves, talking more. And in the process, they expose their own motives. You do not owe everyone an explanation. You only owe yourself progress. When you stop explaining, you retain all the energy you once wasted on self-defense. That energy can now be redirected into the real work. The second behavior, and perhaps the more important one, is that we stop chasing. This is one of the deepest paradoxes of life. Desperation always repels what you desire. The more you chase something, the further it runs from you. Think about trying to catch a butterfly. If you lunge at it, grasping, it will dart away. But the moment you stand still, stop grasping, and simply become present, the butterfly may come and gently land on your shoulder. Life works the same way. Chasing is rooted in the fear and internal noise we identified in Chapter 3. It is the fear of loss, the fear of missing out, the fear of not being enough. When you act from that fear, you radiate an energy of lack, and nothing valuable responds well to lack. When you stop chasing, you change the entire dynamic. You are silently declaring your own value. Think about a relationship, whether friendship or romantic. You sent the text. It has been read, but there is no reply. Your internal noise begins to scream. Pride says, "How dare they?" Insecurity says, "They do not like me anymore." Fear says, "I have to do something." And so, you chase. You send another text, or a third. You are grasping, trying to force an outcome. Action in stillness is sending the first text and then letting it go. You turn your focus back to your own life. The magic happens when you stop chasing. People begin to notice your absence. They were used to you always being there, always trying. When you pull back, your silence creates a void. They start to wonder why you are no longer present, and suddenly, they begin to chase you. This is not playing games. This is the truth about value. You cannot convince someone of your worth. You can only demonstrate it. And you demonstrate it by being unafraid of their absence. This applies to success and opportunities as well. The people who thrive in life are not the ones begging for opportunities. They are the ones who prepare, who build, who remain patient. They work in silence and trust the process. And because of that, the right opportunities naturally find them. So, if you are not explaining and you are not chasing, what are you doing? You are acting. This is the meaning of action in stillness. Instead of wasting energy outward, you turn all that focus inward. You focus on yourself. Success does not come from talking about what you are going to do. It does not come from convincing other people that you are capable. It comes from action. It comes from discipline. It comes from showing up for yourself every single day when no one is watching. You stop talking about the book you want to write, and you start writing it. You stop talking about wanting to be healthier, and you start taking the walk. You stop complaining about your job, and you start learning a new skill in silence. You just do the work. And when you do that, when you stop explaining and stop chasing, everything will begin to fall into place. The 10-minute pause. As promised in our introduction, here is a simple action you can try. The next time you feel that powerful urge to chase something, practice the 10-minute pause. That feeling might be the urge to send a second text. It might be the urge to refresh your email again to see if they replied. It might be the urge to refresh social media to see who liked your post. When you feel that urge, do not act. Just set a timer for 10 minutes. For those 10 minutes, go get that glass of water. Or look out the window. Notice the urge. Feel its discomfort. Recognize it for what it is, the noise of fear. And watch as, after 10 minutes, it begins to lose its power. You have just taken back control. Chapter 5. Protecting your energy. Your energy is one of the most powerful forces you have. It is the fuel for your progress, the currency of your potential. But most people do not realize how much control they have over their own reality. Most people are spending their energy in all the wrong places. They focus on what is missing instead of what is possible. They focus on distractions instead of discipline. They focus on other people's opinions instead of their own progress. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. This chapter is about building a fortress around your energy. Because here is the truth. Your energy is your responsibility. No one else is going to protect it for you. So where is your energy going? We must first identify the leaks. The first leak is distraction. Distractions destroy progress. It is one of the biggest reasons why people stay stuck in the same place for years. Not because they are not capable, but because they are too busy paying attention to things that do not matter. Think about it. How much time do you spend scrolling through social media watching other people live their lives instead of building your own? That is an energy leak. How often do you get pulled into a pointless argument or an unnecessary meeting? These things might seem small, but when they add up, they become the reason why you are not making progress. The second leak is other people's opinions. It is crazy how much energy we waste worrying about what others think. We hesitate to make bold moves because we are afraid of judgment. We hold back from our goals because we do not want to be criticized. We are letting their noise dictate our day. That is a massive energy leak. The third leak is negativity. We wake up and immediately check our phones, letting the news, social media, and other people's lives dictate our mood for the day. We get caught up in drama. We let someone else's negativity ruin our mood and throw us off track. We waste time on things that do not serve us, and then we wonder why we feel drained. Your life is a reflection of what you give your attention to. If you constantly feed yourself negativity, if you surround yourself with the wrong people, your reality will mirror that. So how do we protect our energy? You must become intentional. You must become ruthless with your time and your attention. You have to be selective about where you invest your energy. This means setting boundaries. It means learning to say no to things that do not align with your goals. It means understanding that not every conversation deserves your response. Not every opinion deserves your attention. And not every person deserves access to your mind. When you learn to guard your focus, you gain control over your life. This is why staying silent, as we learned in our previous chapters, is so powerful. Silence is not just about not talking. Silence is a shield. It protects your energy. Every time you share your goals with the wrong people, you open yourself up to negativity, doubt, and criticism. Not everyone is going to support you. Not everyone is going to understand your vision. And if you are not careful, their opinions can plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Silence protects your dreams. It keeps your energy focused. When you are truly focused on your growth, you do not have time to seek approval. You are too busy becoming the person you are meant to be. You have to take control of your environment, your time, and your attention. If you want to achieve something big in life, you cannot afford to let distractions control you. You must choose to protect your focus at all costs, because at the end of the day, you are either feeding your future or feeding your fears. The energy audit. As promised in our introduction, here is your 2-minute action. Tonight before you go to sleep, take out that tiny notebook. We are going to conduct a simple energy audit. Draw a simple line down the middle of the page. On the top of the left side, write, "Gave me energy." On the top of the right side, write, "Drained my energy." Now think about your day. What conversations or activities added to your energy? Write them on the left. What conversations, drama, or distractions took your energy? Write them on the right. You do not need to do anything about it yet. Just notice. Awareness is the first step to taking your power back. Chapter 6. The Engine of Progress. The Power of Discipline. We have quieted our inner dialogue and learned to protect our energy. We have stopped explaining and stopped chasing. Now we face the most important part of the journey. We must build the engine that uses that protected energy to move us forward. Many people believe the key to success is motivation. They wait until they feel excited. They wait until they feel inspired. They search for motivation in videos or speeches. But motivation is temporary. It is an emotion. It comes and goes. Motivation is what gets you started, but what you really need is discipline. Discipline is the engine. Discipline is what keeps you going when motivation fades. It is the difference between people who succeed and people who quit too soon. Discipline is not punishment. It is commitment. It is the choice to keep going anyway. It is about showing up even when you do not feel like it. It is about doing the work, not because you feel motivated, but because you made a commitment to yourself. This is the real secret to success. It is the compound effect of self-improvement. It is the small, consistent actions you take every single day. It is waking up early when you would rather sleep in. It is putting in the work when no one is watching. It is choosing discipline over excuses. It is staying focused when distractions try to pull you away. Real success does not happen in one big, dramatic moment. It happens in the small, consistent efforts that add up over time. This is the work done in silence. This is the work of the hidden phase. Think back to the seed we talked about in the introduction. You plant a seed. You water it. You give it sunlight. But for weeks, maybe even months, it looks like nothing is happening. You do not see immediate results. But underneath the surface, growth is taking place. Roots are forming. The foundation is being built. Most people do not make it that far. They quit before they ever see the breakthrough. They stop watering the seed because they did not see a tree tomorrow. Discipline is what keeps you watering the seed. Discipline is trusting the process even when you cannot see the results. This discipline is not just physical, it is spiritual. It is the habits of the soul that we mentioned in our introduction. Things like silence, solitude, fasting not just from food, but from noise, from social validation, from constant motion. These are not religious burdens. They are spiritual lifelines. They are how you train your spirit to listen. They are how you anchor yourself when the winds of life howl. This is how you build strength that does not come from muscles, but from heaven. This is how you bring your soul into order under your own rule. This is true freedom. Freedom does not come from doing whatever we want. It comes from surrendering to what God wants. It comes from the quiet choices of your everyday life. When you combine discipline with patience, everything starts to fall into place. The one thing promise. As promised in our introduction, here is your small, simple move. Tonight, before you go to sleep, find that tiny notebook. Think of the one single thing that matters most for your progress tomorrow. Just one, not 10 things. One, it might be that morning walk. It might be writing for 5 minutes. It might be one important task before messages. Write that one thing down, then make this promise. When you wake up, you will complete that one small action before you check your phone. This is not about the task itself. This is about building the muscle of keeping a promise to yourself. That is the beginning of all discipline. Chapter 7. The Art of Waiting. Trusting the timing. This chapter is about patience. It is perhaps the greatest strength a person can have, yet too many people mistake it for weakness. We live in a world obsessed with instant results. We want fast success. We want overnight transformations. We expect results overnight. We want success to come fast and easy. And when it does not, we give up. We quit too soon. This is where most people go wrong. They start something new with excitement, but when they do not see immediate results, they quit. They work hard for 1 week, but when nothing changes, they go back to old habits. They do not realize that anything truly worthwhile takes time. Impatience leads to mistakes. It leads to desperate decisions. We get frustrated. We settle for less than we deserve. We jump into the wrong relationships. We take jobs that do not align with our purpose. We take shortcuts that cost us more in the long run. We quit just because we do not see immediate results. We must learn the art of waiting. We must trust the process. Nature teaches us this lesson every day. Nature does not rush, yet everything gets done. The sun rises and sets each day without being rushed. Flowers bloom when they are ready, not when we demand it. Life moves at its own pace. Think back to the seed we discussed in the last chapter. You plant a seed in the soil, you water it, you give it sunlight. But for weeks, maybe even months, it looks like nothing is happening. This is the moment of truth. This is where most people fail. They stop watering the seed. They get frustrated. They convince themselves that their efforts are not making a difference. They dig up the seed to see if it is growing, and in doing so, they kill it. They quit before they ever see the breakthrough. But just because you cannot see the results yet does not mean they are not coming. Beneath the surface, the most important growth is happening. The roots are forming. The foundation is being built. Patience is not about doing nothing. It is not about waiting passively, hoping things magically fall into place. Patience is discipline. It is the ability to keep going even when there is no proof that things are working yet. It is trusting the process while you continue to do the work. It is the ability to keep moving without needing instant gratification. You must understand that the delay between your effort and your results is normal. It is part of the process. Delays are not denials. Some things take longer because they are meant to be stronger, more resilient, more unshakable. The strongest structures in the world, the tallest buildings, the most solid foundations, they take years to build. You cannot rush the foundation and expect the building to last. The same is true for your life. We often overestimate what we can achieve in 1 week, but we underestimate what we can achieve in 1 year. We get discouraged when we do not see immediate progress, but we fail to see how much we could accomplish if we just stayed consistent over time. You must let go of the need to control. You must stop comparing your path to anyone else's. Your journey is yours alone. When you are truly confident in your path, you do not need to rush. You do not need to chase. You do not need to force anything. Because what is meant for you will always come at the right time in the right way when you are truly ready. You do your part. You do the work. And you let the results unfold as they are meant to. Trust the process. Trust the timing of your life. The 5-minute stillness. As promised in our introduction, here is your small, simple move. Sometime tomorrow, find a moment where you are forced to wait. Maybe it is a long line at the grocery run. Maybe it is a slow traffic light. Maybe it is your coffee brewing or your computer taking too long to restart. Normally, you would pull out your phone. You would fill that space with noise and distraction. This time, do nothing. For 5 minutes or for however long the wait is, just stand there. Breathe slowly. Count a slow 3 in. Count a slow 3 out. Notice the urge to rush. Notice the frustration. Feel that impatience rise and then feel it fall. You are not just waiting. You are practicing the art of stillness. Chapter 8. The Hidden Phase. The Value of Absence. In the last chapter, we learned the art of waiting. We learned to trust the timing of our lives. We learned that the delay between our effort and the result is a normal part of the process. But what happens in that time? What is the purpose of that waiting? We live in a world that is terrified of being invisible. We think that if we are not seen, if we are not posting, if we are not being acknowledged, then we are not growing. We think that being overlooked is the same as being rejected. We are afraid of being alone. We are afraid of the dark. This chapter is about embracing that darkness. It is about understanding that the time we spend waiting is not empty time. It is the most important time of all. It is the time when the real work gets done. This chapter is about 2 powerful forces, the hidden phase and the value of absence. Let us first talk about the hidden phase. Think back to the seed we have discussed. You plant a seed in the soil. You water it. You trust the process, as we learned in Chapter 7. But for weeks, maybe even months, it looks like nothing is happening. This is what our journey feels like. We are doing the work. We are protecting our energy. We are staying disciplined. We are showing up every day. But we see no results. We are tempted to quit. We are tempted to dig up the seed to see if it is growing. But just because you cannot see something happening does not mean it is not happening. The most important growth happens beneath the surface. It happens in the dark. The seed has to break underground before it ever rises into the light. This is the key. Before the rising, there must be a breaking. Before the bloom, there is the burial. This breaking is the hard work. This breaking is the internal work we talked about in Chapter 3. This is where you confront the clutter of pride. This is where you silence the hum of insecurity. This is where you heal the old wounds. This season of isolation, of being hidden, is not rejection. It is preparation. You are not being overlooked. You are being refined. The universe or God is doing its best work in the dark, when no one is watching, when no one is clapping. Why? Because the spotlight is a terrible place to heal. The spotlight is a terrible place to build a foundation. You cannot build a strong, tall building on a weak foundation. The hidden phase is when the universe is building your roots. It is building your character. It is pruning your pride. It is teaching you how to survive the weight of exposure before you are exposed. This is what isolation does. It strips away the applause. It forces you to confront who you are without the noise. It forces you to find your validation from within. This is where clarity comes. This is where you find your true purpose. You do not need an audience to grow. You need intimacy with yourself and your mission. So do not despise this season. Do not rush out of the soil. This is the school drop-off moment. This is the grocery run moment. This is the 5 minutes before bed moment. It is the quiet, unseen work that no one claps for. You may feel buried, but you are not dead. You are planted. And when you are planted, you are intended to grow. Growth does not begin in the crowd. It begins in the quiet. Now let us take this concept of being hidden and apply it to our relationships. This is the second force, the value of absence. We have another problem. We are always available. We answer every call. We reply to every text. We show up even when we are not treated well. We keep giving our energy away, as we learned in Chapter 5. What is the result? People rarely appreciate what they have when it is within reach. They take you for granted. They assume your kindness as an expectation rather than a gift. They believe that no matter how they act, no matter how they neglect or mistreat you, you will always stay. Your constant presence makes your value invisible. Absence is the wake-up call. It is the hardest lesson, but it is the truest. In Chapter 4, we learned to stop chasing. When you step back, when you stop explaining and stop chasing, you are letting silence do the talking. You are creating a void. In that silence, in that emptiness, they finally begin to understand. Not through your words, not through your conversations, but through experience. They are forced to feel the void you once filled. They are forced to confront the reality of what they had and what they lost. Presence is often unnoticed until it turns into absence. This is not about playing games. This is not about manipulation. This is about clarity. You cannot force someone to appreciate you. You cannot make someone see your value by constantly reminding them of it. The more you try to explain, the more they resist. The more you chase, the more they run. But when you remove yourself, when you stop proving, when you let silence do the talking, they are left with nothing but their own thoughts. Absence reveals priorities. If someone truly values you, they will feel your absence. They will recognize their mistakes. They will step forward and make an effort. But if someone was only using you, if they only saw you as an option, if they never truly appreciated you, then your absence will mean nothing to them. And that is your answer. Sometimes the only way to show someone what you meant to them is to let them feel your absence. Words will not do it. Conversations will not do it. Arguments will not do it. Only the emptiness left behind can make them see what they ignored. Absence 2. Powerful lessons come from this. First, people will always show you who they are if you let them. When you are always talking, always chasing, always performing, you do not give them space to reveal their true nature. But when you are still and silent, their actions will tell you everything you need to know. Second, people will always learn the hard way when they lose someone who truly cared for them. The world is full of people who realized too late what they had. Your absence is a powerful filter. It removes the ones who were only there for convenience. It separates those who truly cared from those who only enjoyed the benefits of your presence. It forces people to show their true colors. So do not fear the quiet. Do not despise the hidden phase. Do not be afraid to pull back and create space. Trust the dark. Trust the silence. Your absence is not a weakness. It is a strategy. It is how you grow. And it is how you learn the truth. The do not disturb window. As promised in our introduction, here is your small, simple move. This is your chance to practice the hidden phase on a small scale. Tonight or sometime this week, schedule a 2-hour do not disturb window in your calendar. This is not for sleeping. This is for being awake. For these 2 hours, put your phone in another room. Turn off the notifications on your computer. This is your time. This is your hidden phase. You can use this time to do the work we talked about. You can read a book. You can write in your tiny notebook. You can go for that walk. Or you can just sit and think. Notice how the world does not end. Notice the urge to check your phone. Recognize that urge as the noise of the outside world. And then notice the clarity that starts to creep in. This is how you begin to practice being planted. Chapter 9. The Internal Reward. Building True Confidence. For the past 8 chapters, we have been on a journey. We started in the noise of the outside world in Chapter 1. We learned to find strength in silence in Chapter 2. We did the hard work of quieting our inner dialogue in Chapter 3. We learned to stop explaining and stop chasing in Chapter 4. We built a fortress to protect our energy in Chapter 5. We built the engine of discipline in Chapter 6. We mastered the art of waiting in Chapter 7. And we learned to trust the hidden phase of growth in Chapter 8. We have done all this quiet work. We have planted the seed. We have watered it. We have protected it in the dark. Now we ask, what is the first reward? What is the first sign of harvest? The first reward is not a new job. It is not more money. It is not the applause of others. The first reward is internal. It is the one thing no one can ever take from you. The first reward is true confidence. This is the internal reward we promised in our introduction. But we must redefine confidence. For most of our lives, we have misunderstood it. We have been conditioned to believe that confidence is loud. We think it is the loudest person in the room from Chapter 1. The person who is always talking, always proving, always dominating the conversation. But that is not confidence. That is the clutter of pride we identified in Chapter 3. That is the hum of insecurity. That is a mask. True confidence is not loud. It is quiet. It is solid. It is unshakable. It is the calmer mind. It is the steadier way to respond. It is the deep, unshakable belief in yourself that is not dependent on anything or anyone outside of you. So how do we get it? For our entire lives, we have been looking in the wrong place. We have been looking outward. We think confidence is something we can get from others. We think it comes from seeking approval. We hunt for it in likes, comments, or compliments. We wait for someone else to tell us that we are good enough. This is the trap of validation. Confidence that is built on the opinions of others is fragile. It is not real. It is borrowed self-esteem. It can be given to you in one moment and taken away in the next. One critical comment, one person misunderstanding you, one bad day can shatter it completely. This chapter is about the new way. This is the truth. Confidence is not something you are born with. Confidence is not something you find. Confidence is not something you wait for. Confidence is something you build. It is a skill just like any other. And like any skill, the only way to develop it is through practice. It is the result of all the work we have been doing. It is the compound effect of self-improvement. It is the reward for the discipline we built in Chapter 6. It is the harvest from the work we did in the hidden phase in Chapter 8. Confidence is built on one simple idea: proof over permission. Let me say that again: proof over permission. Most of us spend our lives waiting for permission. We wait for someone to tell us we are ready. We wait for the perfect moment to start. We wait until we feel 100% prepared. We wait for the fear and doubt to go away. But that moment never comes. There will always be doubts. There will always be unknowns. There will always be a reason to wait. If you wait until you feel ready, you will be waiting for the rest of your life. The secret is this: you have to take action before you feel ready. The most confident people you know are not fearless. They are not people who always knew exactly what they were doing. They are people who trusted themselves enough to take action even when they were uncertain. They were scared, and they did it anyway. You do not become confident by thinking about doing something. You become confident by doing it. You become confident by putting yourself out there, by facing challenges head-on, by taking small risks. Think of it like this: your brain is a library. Right now, that library might be full of books about your fears, your doubts, and your past failures. Every time you take action, every time you do something uncomfortable, every time you take a step forward, despite your fear, you are writing a new book. You are building an evidence log. You are creating proof. Look at the work we have already done. When you did the one thing promise from Chapter 6, you wrote a tiny book titled, "I Keep Promises to Myself." When you did the 10-minute pause from Chapter 4, you wrote a tiny book titled, "I Am Stronger Than My Impulses." When you survived the 5-minute stillness in the grocery line from Chapter 7, you wrote a new book titled, "I Can Be Calm in Chaos." These actions seem small. They seem insignificant, but they are stacking up. They are strengthening your foundation. They are building your internal library of proof. Confidence is not about knowing everything. It is about trusting yourself enough to take the next step. And that trust is built on this mountain of evidence. The more evidence you collect, the less power doubt has over you. You have seen yourself handle challenges. You have seen yourself succeed before. You know you can do it again. You do not need to be the smartest, the most talented, or the most experienced person in the room. You just need to be the person who is willing to show up. You just need to be the person who is willing to build the proof. And here is the most beautiful part. Here is the payoff. Once you start taking action, once you start building this internal proof, your need for external validation begins to fade. It just disappears. When you prove to yourself that you are capable, you stop needing other people to tell you. When you prove to yourself that you are worthy, you stop needing others to approve of you. You stop seeking approval because you have already given it to yourself. That is what real confidence is. It is not based on what others think. It is based on what you know to be true about yourself. The people who doubted you become irrelevant. The criticism that used to crush you now just sounds like noise. It does not even register in your mind. Not because anything around you changed, but because you changed. You are no longer looking for their applause. You are busy building your own. This is the steadclear way to respond that we promised. You are not rattled by judgment, because your confidence is no longer up for their vote. This new confidence is quiet. It is not arrogance. It is not the loud pride of the person in chapter 1. It is the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who knows their worth, and this quiet confidence is magnetic. Remember the butterfly from chapter 4? When you stop chasing validation, when you stand still in your own worth, everything starts to gravitate toward you. People respect those who do not beg for attention. They admire those who do not need constant reassurance. They are drawn to those with this quiet, unshakable energy. This is the true internal reward. It is the prize you earn from all the quiet work. It is the armor that protects you and the engine that moves you forward. You earned it. The one uncomfortable thing, as promised in our introduction here, is your small, simple move. This action is designed to build your evidence log. Sometime tomorrow, I want you to do one small thing that you would normally avoid because it feels uncomfortable. This is not something dangerous. This is something that just makes you hesitate. Maybe it is making a phone call you have been putting off. Maybe it is finally speaking up for just 10 seconds in that meeting. Maybe it is going for that short walk at lunch by yourself instead of hiding with the group. Just one small, intentional act of courage. When you do it, I want you to pause for a moment and silently say to yourself, I did that. I was uncomfortable, and I did it anyway. You have just added another book to your library. You are building your confidence. Chapter 10. Let the results speak. This is the final chapter. This is the destination we have been working toward through this entire journey. We began our work in chapter 1 surrounded by noise. We lived in a world that shouts. We were trapped by the pull of approval. We were that person in the room, wasting our energy explaining ourselves to people who did not care. We were the person frantically chasing validation, believing that the loudest person was the strongest. We were wrong. We learned in chapter 2 that silence is power. We learned in chapter 3 to quiet the battle in our own minds. In chapter 4, we learned to stop explaining and stop chasing. In chapter 5, we built a fortress to protect our energy. In chapter 6, we built the engine of discipline. In chapter 7, we mastered the art of waiting. In chapter 8, we learned to trust the hidden phase where the roots grow. And in chapter 9, we built the first reward, true internal confidence. And now we arrive at the payoff. This is the moment when the world finally notices. This is the moment when your actions become so clear, so undeniable, and so real that they speak for you. You do not have to say a word. Your success will speak for itself. For too long, we have wasted our energy talking about what we are going to do. We get caught up in proving ourselves to others, seeking approval, waiting for applause. But the truth is, real success happens in the quiet moments. It happens when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when it is just you and the work. We learned that talking about your plans is a trap. It tricks your brain. When you announce your goals publicly, you get a hit of dopamine, the same chemical that is released when you actually achieve something. This creates a false sense of progress. You feel good, but you have not actually done the work yet. You have satisfied your need for validation before you have even put in the effort. That is why so many people talk a big game, but never follow through. When you stay silent as we have practiced, you stay in control. You stay hungry. You are not wasting energy explaining yourself to others. You are not looking for permission. You are not waiting for anyone to validate your path. You are simply doing what needs to be done. This is the great harvest. This success is not about luck. It is not an accident. It is the inevitable result of the compound effect of self-improvement. It is the logical conclusion of all your small, consistent actions. Remember the one thing promise from Chapter 6? It was the discipline of showing up every day. Remember the patience from Chapter 7? It was the trust to keep watering the seed even when you could not see the growth. Remember the hidden phase from Chapter 8? It was the courage to let your roots grow deep in the dark. Now the world sees the tree, and they are amazed by it. People will start to notice. They will wonder how you did it. They will see the results, and they will be confused. They will call you an overnight success. They will say you were lucky. They did not see the process. They only see the final product. They did not see the hard work behind the results. They did not see the nights you spent in the hidden phase. They did not see the small daily habits. They did not see the moments you chose discipline over excuses, and that is okay. They do not need to, because you have finally arrived at the destination. You have stopped explaining. Remember the energy we wasted in Chapter 1 trying to justify our existence? That is over. You do not have to explain your every move. You do not have to prove yourself with words. Your results are the explanation. Your success is the argument. Your life is the proof. True strength does not argue. It simply exists, unshaken, undeniable. When you walk into the room now, you do not have to be the loudest. You do not have to fight for attention. Your presence has weight. Your actions have impact. People respect silence more than words because anyone can talk. Anyone can make promises. Anyone can claim to be strong. But real power does not need to announce itself. Real power is felt. You will not have to say a word. This is the ultimate paradox of our journey. Remember the butterfly from Chapter 4? For so long we chased it. We chased success. We chased approval. We chased the relationships. And the more we chased, the further they flew away. But we stopped. We chose the quieter path. We turned our focus inward. We stopped worrying about what other people think. We stopped trying to control the outcome. We just focused on ourselves. We focused on building our own garden. And now everything has changed. The irony of life is that the more you try to control things, the more chaotic they become. But when you step back, let go and focus on yourself, everything starts to align. You do not have to chase opportunities anymore. The right opportunities naturally find you. You do not have to chase respect. You command it effortlessly. You do not have to chase the right people. Your quiet confidence, your unshakable energy attracts them to you. This is what it means to let your results speak. You have finally reached the moment where you do not need to seek validation from anyone. The world may finally be giving you the applause you once craved, but you will find that you no longer need it. Your confidence is no longer built on their opinions. It is built on the unshakable truth of your own work. You have the proof. You have the evidence. You are not the person who talks about what they are going to do. You are the person who has done it. You have become the person who moves in silence, and you have truly won. The evidence log. As promised in our introduction here, is your final action. Take out that tiny notebook one last time. Tonight, instead of writing what you will do, I want you to write what you have done. We will call this the evidence log. Before you sleep, Write down 3 small wins from the past week. 3 things you completed. 3 moments you chose discipline. 3 times you kept a promise to yourself. Look at this list. This is not a plan. This is not a hope. This is proof. This is the start of your results. This is the evidence that the process is working. This is the voice that speaks louder than any noise. We began this journey together in a world that shouts. We were trapped in the noise. We were that person in the room wasting our energy to explain ourselves to people who did not care. We were stuck in the trap of approval, but we chose a quieter path. We learned that the loudest person is the weakest, and that true strength is found in silence. We did the hard work, we looked inside and learned to quiet the inner dialogue, the noise of pride and fear. With that new stillness, we learned to stop explaining and stop chasing. We let go of desperation. We learned to build a fortress to protect our energy. We stopped leaking our power to distractions. We built the engine of progress. We learned that discipline, not motivation, is what moves us forward. We mastered the art of waiting. We learned to trust the timing of our lives. We embraced the hidden phase. We understood that, like a seed, the most important growth happens in the dark, where the roots grow deep. From that hidden work, we built the first great reward, true internal confidence, a confidence that comes from proof, not from applause. And finally, we arrived at the moment where our results speak for you. This is the great paradox of our journey. The world may finally be paying attention. The applause may finally be coming. But in this new quiet place, you will realize you no longer need it. Your silence is no longer a strategy. It has become a part of who you are. It is not emptiness. It is peace. It is the clearest and most powerful echo of all.